Alright. We're in the final confrontation. There's a lot of stuff we didn't do. We didn't fight those cats. We never killed the ancient dragon. We didn't even try to find the Dark Lurker. We missed some bonfires. But overall, I think we did okay. We got most of it. Do like these rock candles. Just the head. Oh, Benhart. Sure, that'll be fine. Just fucking rage. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I watched anybody do that battle, but if I remember right, if you don't, like if you kill one and leave the other alive, they like come back.
You have proven yourself to be
That I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. Cursed. I don't like that. You hit hard. Okay. That makes sense. Don't like that. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna switch out for a Curse Bite ring. Because that's a freaking nightmare. Okay, first. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought we had... I want to say there's a hat that's got really good curse resistance, but... Icon Crown. Maybe not. Well, so be it. Okay, well, helps if I go the right direction. Wait, no, that was the right direction. I come out here and then I go left. Oh, straight into Nishandra. Okay. Whew! Alright. Ow. I knew there was a head thing. I remember that there was some sort of head thing that makes, like, the curse thing negligible. So be it. Man. We did it. Yeah, well, we're significantly over-leveled for what we were just doing. We're kind of over-leveled for the game as a whole, but, like, significantly over-leveled for that battle. Also, I brought friends, which has a tendency to trivialize things. Well, shit, that's it. That's the game, y'all. That's the final boss. That's the battle. The big throwdown for Dark Souls 2. Well, we've got time. Our destiny lies before us. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over in the last little bit to you.
No.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk.
Talk about whatever you want. No, that ends the game. That also ends the game. One is we take the Throne of Want. The other is we leave the Throne of Want. Both are game-ending decisions.
What are the implications
Vast and complicated. Well, it's equivalent to and implied to be the same as linking the fire. If you look, our throne room that we're walking into there looks an awful lot like a kiln. And so the implication of taking the Throne of Want is that you use the power you've acquired through fighting and whatnot, and become the next monarch, like Vendrick or like Gwyn, the one upon whom the age will continue to revolve. Oh, he's dead, long gone. Centuries ago, except for whatever was left of him down in the chaos. So that's basically what that means. Continue the Age of Fire. That's basically our thing there. Keep this whole thing going for another cycle. Or we can leave and maybe forge our own path. But then the Throne of Want, I guess, it's empty and maybe somebody else will do what you did. behind you or not. Like, it's happened many times before. Why not again? So it's a little different. It's a little more ambiguous at this point. It doesn't say Link the Fire or usher in an Age of Dark, but it's basically that decision. I already know how we're gonna end it, but
I feel like we're not big enough. I feel like we're not big enough to be a king. Kings are always so large. Are we gonna grow? Is it like an ant when they become the queen? Their bodies get bigger, like genetically change, and physically.
So generally, From Software games, not so much in Sekiro, but in the Dark Souls games, it uses physical size as the indication of like power and control. So we had fighting these figures of legend. So we'll backtrack. Like the Lord of the Rings story is first and foremost just a fantasy story about a quest, a bunch of mortal and semi-immortal beings trying to do a really difficult thing and save the world from eternal darkness. That being said, the Lord of the Rings as a whole is also like a philosophical position. Tolkien talked about his ideas about kind of how the world operated. So, you know, he was a lot of things. He was a linguist and an author and whatnot, but he was like a medieval historian and a few other things. He basically thought that the world was the sort of thing that wound down. That the past was more than the present, and the present was more than the future would be. That this thing was something that came down, but that would end in a eucatastrophe, which is a word I believe he made up, which is a catastrophe but positive, unexpected, calamitous. Like it like shakes everything up, but is positive in that way. So, which, you know, makes sense. He was a Catholic. Like, that's basically the Christian position. So when you read through, like, the Silmarillion and whatnot, each age is a kind of a shadow of what came before. So, like, in the early age, it is gods at the height of their power, raising continents, like delving oceans, having wars that entirely remake the face of creation. There are these giant pillars at the other ends of what is at this point a flat Earth. We haven't made it round yet. That comes later. That's actually our fault. But these two giant pillars that raise so high that the giant glowing silver and golden lights can shine across all of it, and it's enormous. Wild shit. And then that age ends, and for various reasons, and we move into other stuff, and then you've got like elves and eventually humans, and things go down. But like, we're living in the Undying Lands, and we build these cities that are just unbelievable, huge things. Architectural techniques that are never rivaled again. Levels of peace that nobody's ever seen, kind of thing. And like throughout the ages, like those things happen. Like the memories are there, and like the drive is there, and it's actually kind of a similar like repeating of patterns. There's always a white city, but every white city is never quite what it was before. So, like, there in Middle Earth, there was the city of Gondolin, which was hidden away in this impossible mountain pass, and the king was, I want to say, he's tied to Feanor in some way. Anyways, we meet Glorfindel and fighting dragons and Balrogs, and then that place is eventually destroyed, and Numenor is eventually built, and Numenor is incredible. It's basically Atlantis, but on Gondolin. And then later on, other cities come. Eventually you get to, like, Gondor, right? Which itself is like this pale reflection of Numenor. And by the time we get to the end of the Third Age, we're not even in the original Gondor. We're just in a fort from Gondor. Minas Tirith was a military outpost of what used to be a much larger, more sprawling city, the ruins of which you see them fight in the third movie, where you see Faramir and his men, like, defending the orcs who are coming in on boats, and then they get pushed out. Yeah, they're fighting in what remains of what was actually Gondor. Anyway, so everything's sort of decaying down. There are still moments of great heroism and beauty and building and things like that, but and that's good. Like, that's seen as a good thing. It's not cast in, like, this nihilistic light, but it is ultimately futile. There is no great victory that will bring back the way things ought to have been. And so there's a similar sort of thing here, you know, great individuals, you know, not necessarily good, but definitely great, sort of taking the world into themselves and using it to forge something out of it and continuing the world as such. But we're in a very similar sort of situation, that it's more apparent that this Age of Fire, whatever it is not the thing we were in before. Like, it definitely isn't the first age. We've wound down to some degree. That's kind of that conversation we're having with Aldia, though. Yeah, he would have been here, but I must have missed dialogue with him or something, which isn't unreasonable. Either way. He became obsessed with the soul, kind of like Seath did, and worked with Vendrick. He was his brother. Because that was the thing they were trying to figure out. Like, the undead curse was back, like it always is. They didn't know how to solve it, like everyone doesn't. And became obsessed with trying to understand what the soul was, why this curse happened, and that kind of opened up this to knowledge about maybe the actual structure of things, and this sort of dual path. You know, that the world needs someone to do what we're doing right now, or, you know, Vendrick or the Ivory King, or someone to do that, but that it's not a perfectly efficient system. Basically, you know, you can't return back. Everything's a little more ruined every time. You know, so Aldia brings that up, that, you know, you've basically got two choices, though he speculates on what a third might look like, to do neither. But even, like, figuring out what that would mean, like, because you are given a binary option: do the thing or don't do the thing. And it's hard to imagine what a third version of that would be. But that's, like, all the kings we've found previously, you know, part of the reason that they have similar setups. Some of them have golems, you know, some of them have similar architectural styles, etc., etc., is because they were building off of the kingdoms before them. Like, what ultimately gives the Iron King the ability to do what he does is he finds an artifact from a previous kingdom. Doesn't work out great for him, but for a while it's okay. So all of these things are overlapping and building off of each other and rediscovering the things that previous ones have discovered and trying to use it to their own purposes, but running into these same sort of grand problems. And in attempting to solve it, sort of going through the same sets of possible solutions. Vendrick's story is a little interesting in that he's being manipulated by Nashandra, and she does a really good job of it for most of the time. Like, she's the one who kind of kicks off this war against the giants, which Vendrick cannot win functionally, or it's going to cost him everything to do. But maybe in doing so, he'll become a worthy monarch and then take the Throne of Want, which gives Nadalia access to the Throne of Want. But Vendrick figures this out towards the end. As he becomes older and more self-reflective and whatnot, he kind of puts some pieces together, which is where he sets all this stuff up, right? Yes. So he runs and hides so that they can't find his soul. And he hides it at the other end of a shrine where he set the singers, because the song soothes the dark, and because Adalia is a creature of the dark, theoretically, were she to try to just walk over there, she'd become enchanted and wouldn't be able to do anything. Etc., etc., etc. Like, he sets up the doors and whatnot, so that and so she just fucking waits, after having exhausted her options, because someone always shows up to take the throne. So she's just got to be patient. But now she's dead. So, anyway, it's you.
I have another question for you. I guess I'll start. So my question is, which king? That's my cup. Which king would you be? Yeah. Which one? Or who is your favorite, I guess?
My favorite is the Emperor.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would actually. Yeah, keep it up.
Well,
That probably is closer.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would have the actual wisdom, foresight, patience, and courage to be the Ivory King. Like,
The chaos.
well, just like top to bottom. Like, he forged his kingdom in war, like everyone did, but it wasn't war like for like glory. It was war out of a genuine wish to protect, like, and continued to fight and struggle and build a whole society somehow above that. Like, that's fucking wild. And then, like, knew that his wife was, just by her nature, like, eating away at his soul, and still, like, never, I don't know, never held that against her, like, still gave her a home and a place. And when it got to the point where there wasn't much left of him, use that as a final opportunity to do something great and grand. Like, that's fucking a lifetime of unbelievable, like, willpower and moral conviction.
I think you could argue, though, that. Which one was that? Elisana. I think you could argue that Elisana was the least dangerous fragment of Manus.
also like co-manifest. It is that light exists that creates the dark. Like they don't, it's not one than the other. They don't come separate. Their births are contingent. So that's something to keep in mind when you're contemplating stuff like that. The other thing is like, one of the things that's like associated with the dark and the abyss is like the human emotions, and they're not necessarily bad. It's not like all the bad emotions are in the dark and the good emotions are in the light. That's not how it works. And so when they're talking about like the stuff from the dark and the abyss, right. You can think about it this way, because the dark is described in two separate ways. One is as calm and cool and peaceful. That's the dark in one. And the other one is ravenous and brutal and terrifying. So we could weave a particular kind of story about Manus, right? Because whatever Manus is, he's old. He's from the beginning of all of this to some degree. And like when the gods were forging their kingdom against the dragons, like this dude predates most things. Like we don't know a lot about Manus. Likely he was a pygmy lord, which means like primeval humans, like of the first humans, and probably traveled to Ulasil from a place called the Ringed City, which you'll actually get to see, but it's humanity's first place, kind of, for whatever reasons. Likely it has something to do with like a lost love, but he dies in Ulasil. Now, at some point, for reasons that aren't necessarily given, but seem to be tied to like power and ambition, people in Ulasil dig up his grave and do something. It's referred to as torture, but like whether that was like literally like intentional or like it was the act of just tearing him back into reality, or who knows. But like whatever happened wasn't good, and that's where Manus becomes this thing. And you can see maybe the abyss as representing those human emotions gone feral. So it's not anger, it's all-consuming rage. It's not fear, it's something closer to panic. It's not love, it's obsession. Like, it's just all of that cranked up until it consumes the willpower, which is one of the things that's represented by fire: focus, will, things like that. So she says it when she's talking, Melisandre does, that, she showed up because she basically felt like she could be a parasite there. She wants the fear to go away, because that's the nature of fear. So she's looking for something to make it go away, and is willing to do whatever it takes. Just so happens, let's say, that the place she goes to accomplish this, it's given freely. She never needed to take it. It was already hers.
I
And
feel like she was the only fragment queen that wanted to get rid of that Manus part of her.
she is Manus.
The emotions she represents.
Yeah.
Or like Chandra,
Well, they're
like
looking.
totally fucking gave into her desire.
Don't
And
think about it. She's just looking to feed it. Like, part of being afraid is not wanting to be afraid. Like, that's part of the emotion, is wanting it to go away. Whereas, like, desire, like that, in this case, a desire for power and supremacy, let's say. Part of that is not wanting it to go away, per se. Wrath is a similar sort of thing. So I would say they're all acting within their nature. Now, were there potential ways in which the other Rose Queens could have Right, so Alsana and the Ivory King found a way to be. Now, they don't get who was doomed, like everything is, but they did pull it off successfully. And, you know, Chandra got there late, so we have no idea. Dahlia, yes. Dahlia got there late. After the Iron King was dead, so I don't know how that plays out.
She just totally failed
Yeah,
and canceled herself.
the Sunken King we don't know a whole lot about comparatively, but that one obviously didn't work. She just infiltrated, corrupted, and then killed everyone with poison.
No, she didn't kill everyone with poison. It was the dragon.
Correct. Sorry, she's the one who would sing to the dragon, and maybe he was the one who filled it up with poison.
Oh.
But
that's
even
right.
if he had poison before, it was her plan to orchestrate its release, let's say.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, obviously this didn't work out so great for Vander. But I think that's one of the reasons that makes their story interesting, is that it's one of the things that casts doubt on the easy read of, you know, light is good and dark is evil, and that instead there's another dynamic possible, let's say. If hard to pull off. You know, it's a similar sort of thing. It's like the kings didn't need real queens to fuck up everything. Like, the Iron King did it all on his own. It wasn't everything that was within him, soul of fire, all of that, like, that brought him to his place. Like, can't blame the dark. Like, you know, that's another good downcasting on how this whole thing was working, which is like why I think, like, Aldia's bit about maybe trying to find a way out of the binary cycle is interesting. You've got 20 minutes left. We're going to send this game. Is there something you want to do? Say, is there something you want to do? Jump off a cliff?
One last cliff jump. Yell at Poseidon. Actually, I don't think we can do that. There's no bonfire to go back to Majula. We can't get any feedback from her wife. We tried. She
True.
ignored us.
You can go through and look at any of the items if you want. Oh,
No.
Alright, that's it. This is the last episode. I will not be opening Dark Souls 2 after this.
Again.
Probably not. Over a really long time. And Vendrick.
You who link the fire. You who bear the curse. Once the fire is linked, souls will flourish anew, and all of this will play out again. It is your choice to embrace or renounce this. Great Sovereign, take your throne. What lies ahead, only you can see.
Explain your choice.
Well, canonically speaking, the age is continued because there's a Dark Souls 3. So I link the fire in the first one, and I take the Throne of Want in the second one. Now, whether you do or not, it doesn't really matter. Like, because the implication is that, like, even if you didn't, someone did. Like, this is not a game about chosen ones. You know, you're not the only undead on this quest by a long shot in Dark Souls 1. There's a whole machine of myths and individuals and systems in place to keep pumping undead at the problem until someone gets it. So, like, you're not the only one who could have done this in this game either. But yeah, basically because it makes it narratively consistent that in each age that we choose to look at. We don't know how many cycles come between Gwyn and whenever we take over in Dark Souls 3. But at least that you see that continuation throughout. That's why. I don't agree with the linking of the fire, generally speaking. I understand it. But it's... I don't see it at all as an untrammeled good. Nor am I particularly in its favor. But we'll see all the rest of that in Dark Souls 3!
Did it anyway.
Yeah, it makes it work. The final choice will come in DS3.
Right, wrong choice. This is a moral choice, James. Hey,
Exactly. I mean, it's a game about the inevitable cycles, the inescapable cycle of this thing. It doesn't matter if you're Lord Gwyn or the Chosen Undead or the True Monarch or anyone. No one is outside of it. No one is escaping it. They have fought tooth and nail from day one to find a way, and no one has. Seath went mad, and Gwyn sacrificed himself, and the gods abandoned Olympus. The Witch of Izalith created the Bed of Chaos. Nito went into a depression, basically, and just, like, removed himself from the world entirely. Cities have risen and fallen. Great men and terrible men, and great women and terrible women have all enacted their grand visions on the scope of things, and every single one was ground into the dirt and their name was forgotten. Like, all those crowns, people did wild fucking shit. It always ends with, you know, and now no one even remembers their name. Like...
you do.
I mean, some of them. I don't know the Ivory King's name. He's just the Ivory King. Right now? You want to kick it off immediately?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we're going to start Dark Souls 3 now. I hope this was enjoyable to watch through. This one was harder for me to talk about than Dark Souls 1 for a couple reasons, but I still hope it was mildly enjoyable, even if I was quiet more often.
That's why I asked you all the questions at the end.
Good.
You can explain it more.
Absolutely. That was your role through the game. Yeah. But we'll, yeah, I hope it was fun. Dark Souls 3 is one I understand much better. So it should be easier for me to sort of move through and talk about, than this one, because it's less sprawling, less convoluted, less meditative than Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is mostly a game about questions and elaborate patterns rather than events. Anyway, that's that. We'll see you again in Dark Souls 3, which could be months or years from now, or immediately.